Are you a manager looking for ways to lead your team better and boost your team's results? Imagine a strategic planning approach that not only boosts team productivity, but also makes sure that you hit your goals and gives you confidence and saves you time. In today's fast-paced world of work, succeeding as a leader takes more than just setting goals and objectives and cracking on. It involves a strategic planning approach that allows you to adapt, to refocus, and make sure that you and your team are constantly working on the highest value opportunities and priorities in order to achieve those goals. And that's why creating a planning system that focuses on the quarters I have found to be so valuable. One of the things I've learned is that many managers, even incredibly senior ones, do not give themselves permission or time to stop and think and plan. And the result of that is they often say to me, I feel like I'm always on the back foot. Everything is always important. Everything is always urgent. But you have to ask yourself the question, if you are not thinking about getting ahead and what the high value priorities are, who is? Giving yourself a system, a way of working that helps you think about answering the right question at the right time can help you step change the clarity you bring to your team. It allows you to better align your team behind those priorities and those plans and build a greater sense of trust within the team, because your team will know that this is the important stuff and they are not being distracted by noise. Whether you are a seasoned leader or new to management, creating a way of working, what I would call a manager's operating system, which is anchored on quarterly planning, I think is without doubt one of the most valuable things you can do. In this video, I'm going to explain what would make up a manager's quarterly planning system, why you would do it, what you need to think about, and what you need to do to get started. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Helen Bryant. I am an ex-corporate leader and a leadership coach and trainer. And here on YouTube, I share weekly leadership lessons. Okay, let's jump into quarterly planning. First off, what is quarterly planning from a manager's perspective and why should you adopt it? For all those managers looking for time to think more strategically, the quarter is perfect. I call it the Goldilocks and the Three Bears of planning. The first kind of planning that most businesses do is annual planning. And annual planning is vital for an organization's success. It is a window of time which businesses and organizations tend to run. So it's where their targets are set. It's where there is a whole business process to enable the organization to review where it is and decide where it's going next year. And all the objective setting hangs off that. And it's great for that. It's great for that long-term annual strategic lens. But where it falls down is very quickly you go from that long lens into the short implementable lens. And a lot can happen in a year, can't it? And what often happens is that we're so busy doing that we don't take time to look up and adjust to what is going on around us. So change comes in, or results don't come in the way that you wanted, or there are team changes and that demands a different way of doing things. The big evidence of this challenge is that we can be a bit relaxed about missing a target in the first quarter, even a bit in the second quarter. But of course, that target just moves along and suddenly you end up with this big mountain of a target in the second half and you've missed opportunities to think about what you could do to address that much earlier on. Another planning cycle that managers often have is the monthly and weekly plan. Well, that is well and truly in the action. So you really are working on implementing that plan. And again, most things now in this point is you're doing it. So it's hard to just stand back. And that's why the quarter is just right. It's an opportunity to look at that annual plan and translate it into a window of time that is long enough away for you to think strategically and make change to it, but at the same time short enough to make the targets more tangible and real, and to give real focus and sense of priority to what is needed to achieve that quarter. So it's a really valuable window of time. What does quarterly planning involve? Now, probably the most important message I have for managers and leaders here, it's not just the work, your targets, your business goals within your team. That is vital, and you absolutely need to assess the what it is that you are working. But that's just one element of it. If you're a manager, there are 4 more dimensions you need to think through to really enhance your leadership. So the first of those is the people in your team. Thinking about what's their performance looking like, what development progress have they made. Now, the input for this is your one-to-ones. If you are having regular one-to-ones and you've been documenting them well, this is just a case of looking back and thinking about it. And I'll link both here and down here a playlist on one-to-ones, because this is such a vital moment to get right as a manager. It's foundations of management leadership. So I really would make sure that if you're not so happy with those, that you go there next. Okay, so team first, the individuals in your team. But then there's a second view or lens to look on the team, which is the team as a whole. And there's probably 2 questions to ask. It's about resourcing. Are there any changes coming up? Are you recruiting? Are people leaving? Is the change? Because if there is, you're going to have to put plans in place to make that happen as smoothly as possible so that it doesn't affect the business performance. The second thing is, how are you working together? What's going well, and are there issues? Are there ways in which the team could work together that would improve the results? The third dimension to think about is the broader people within your organization that you're working with, your stakeholders. Now, many people wrestle with stakeholder management or building their network because they're often trying to do it in that right now box. It's urgent and important. I must get in their diary. If you stop and look at the coming quarter and looking at your plan and ask the question, who are the important people that I need to be connecting with and building relationships with or having a conversation with in this coming quarter, and you make that plan transparent, it is so much easier to do because you can reach out with more time to get in their diary. You can be less on the back foot reactive and much more into that proactive building relationships. Managers who can do this well, who build those relationships with their cross-functional colleagues so that you maintain cross-functional alignment, who connect with important stakeholders on a project or a senior stakeholder or an external customer, just find that they will prioritize that and get it in their diary. And they're just one of those people who would just always seem to be on it with people and not thinking about it right at the last moment when it's very difficult to get in that person's diary. So very important dimension to think about. We're not talking a lot of time, but even those few minutes of thinking will give you clarity. The next dimension to think about is you and your personal development. So again, it's the same issue. I often find that people deprioritize themselves, that all the work goes before them and their personal development. I find if you adopt the same approach to your personal development and find one thing to focus on in the coming quarter, it allows you to break down often overwhelming personal development plans into very tangible actions that you can complete over the next 12 weeks. Makes it much more doable. So having a think about where are you on your own personal development journey, what is going to be your next focus for the coming quarter, and thinking about what you'll need to do in order to bring that to life is so valuable. Do it then. It's so much easier to implement it during the coming quarter. The final dimension to think about is what communication messages do you have from this thinking to share with your team. Now, I would highly recommend matching a quarterly planning session of your own with a quarterly planning meeting with your team, and removing yourself from the day-to-day implementation and creating that environment of problem solving to review where you've got to over the previous quarter, focusing everybody on the coming quarter, and as a consequence of that, creating a problem solving environment where you can work through how are we going to do this. Again, more strategic meeting for both you and your team. I really want to emphasize that point to any manager. Planning as a manager and leader is different to planning as an individual contributor. As an individual contributor, you're thinking about your work on the work and you. But as a manager and a leader, you're thinking about achieving those results for the team and guiding and empowering individuals within that team to achieve that results. So your thinking and planning should be much broader than that thinking of setting individual goals. It's incredibly valuable if you want to get ahead as a leader. So what are you thinking and planning in that session? There's 2 steps to it. There's the review and then there's the reset and refocus. So review first. Review is looking back over the last quarter and assessing what's gone well and what may not have gone well. So anything that's gone well is an opportunity to celebrate, but also are there opportunities in there to leverage more, to do more of this that will improve the quality of the results. And then for the things that have not gone so well, it's an opportunity to look at the issues that you're facing. And as a consequence, gives you time to problem solve, think creatively about things you may be able to do within a window of time that you could still do something about it. It allows you to set more meaningful targets for your team. It allows you to look at the inputs, the activities that the individuals and your team are doing that are going to drive those results. The session itself, you need to give yourself about 2 hours, and you need to do it in a quiet place where you're not going to be distracted, where you can put do not disturb on, where you're not at a desk where people are going to constantly come and interrupt you. And you allow yourself that deep thinking, focused time. One thing you do need to do is just set yourself up, get the right materials ready to think about so you don't waste the 2 hours trying to get the results together. So thinking about the systems you need to put in place in order to do that well. But then just 2 hours. 2 hours for a quarter, I'm not kidding. It is the most valuable 2 hours you'll spend is working out the direction, bringing clarity to what is important over that coming quarter. How do you go about bringing this to life? The key really is to create a system. The quarters come every 12 weeks. And the more you can create a ritual and routine to do it, schedule that time in your diary and protect it. Set yourself up to make that 2 hours brilliant thinking time, the more this will work for you and the more you will be able to address much more strategic and challenging issues within your team. What you're really doing is making sure that you answer the right question at the right time. And what I tend to find when I talk with managers, they have the knowledge. They're just not asking themselves the question at the right time. So you need to set yourself up for success. James Clear said in his excellent book, Atomic Habits, people do not rise to the level of their goals. They fall to the level of their systems. So setting that system up for yourself, your own manager operating system, is the starting place. But start by scheduling the time. Put 2 hours in now. You may have noted this video is coming out in June. And so if you haven't already, plan it in the next week or 2. Put that 2 hours in and then look forward on each quarter of the year, September, December, March, and schedule the time and protect it. If you want to know more about what makes up a successful manager's operating system, I have a new course. It's called Manager OS, and I'll take you step by step through what you would need to put in place as a manager that would allow you to plan and bring clarity to your team on what are the high value activities and make sure that your team hit those goals, how you align and work with your team, and how you create an environment of trust as you do that. I do that in just 4 hours, plus all the tools, templates, and question prompts that can help you do it and get it set up quickly. If you want to know more, there is a link just below. If you have any questions on any of this, please ask below in the comments. I'm around as usual to answer them. If you found this useful, please share it with a colleague and friend. Have a conversation about how you could make this way of working come alive together. And please if you could subscribe and ring the bell for this video so that you get notified of each and every video that I release. And I would be very grateful because it helps other ambitious people like yourself find this channel. Okay, that's all for this week. Take care.